The city hums a smoky tune, a saxophone sighs to the moon.
Have you ever felt surrounded by people yet somehow completely alone? That was me. Not because I lacked community, but because I didn't know how to truly belong to one. And that has to do with my upbringing as well. So sometimes when people say to me at workplace, I don't communicate, I don't speak to them, it's not sort of being rude to people, but that is my upbringing. That's how terribly abused I was brought up. So now, welcome to Aurelia's weekly podcast. Today, I want to talk honestly about my challenges with community, what went wrong, and how I learned and how I finally found my way forward. So fast forward to recent times. For a long time, I struggled with feeling disconnected. I was part of a group, spaces, and conversation, yet I constantly felt misunderstood or unseen. I would show up, contribute, listen, but still walk away feeling like I didn't quite fit in. And over time, that disconnect turned into frustration, self-doubt, and withdrawal. So in some cases, like say at workplace, when my suggestions is not being taken seriously or is not being listened to, or positive ways of working are not the right thing that is ongoing there, it affects me mentally. So one of the biggest challenges was expectations. I expected community to feel effortless, to automatically offer belonging, validation, and support to people. Like for me, that is from ethnic minority. But when it didn't, I assumed something was wrong with me or with people around me. So I began in how would I say? I began internalizing silence as rejection and differences as exclusion. So this really affected me growing up, and it affected me even till this day. But you know what? In 2025, I said to myself, I'm going to let this slide. I'm just going to move on with life, with or without, and I need to try to find my balance. Another challenges was communication. I wasn't always keen about how to speak, how I felt, or what I needed. I avoided difficult conversation because I didn't want to seem sensitive or having the wrong accent or demanding. Instead of speaking up, I stayed quiet, and that silence created disturbance and distance from people because people feel realized that while I wanted to be understood, I wasn't giving others the chance to truly understand me better. And that is why I decided in 2026, I'm going to improve on my communication. I'm going to make sure I do things the right way. I also learned that I was trying to belong, shrinking myself. I adapted my voice, opinion, and boundaries just to maintain peace. But in doing so, I lost authenticity. By that, I lost friends. I lost connections as well. That made it so difficult for me. Community can't strive with one person is constantly performing instead of being real. So how do I resolve this? How do I resolve being withdrawn all the time, being on my own all the time? Now I came up with a conclusion. The turning point came when I chose self-awareness over self-blame. Instead of asking, why don't I fit in? I began asking, what kind of community do I actually need? And what kind of member am I being or would I want to belong to? That shift changed everything. That was late in 2025. I talked about that. First, I started setting up clear boundaries. I learned that being part of a community doesn't mean tolerating discomfort or ignoring your values. Boundaries help me protect my energy and communicate my limits without guilt. So that really helped me in the sense that if I'm in a group of conversation and I just notice that one person out of the lot doesn't take my opinion seriously, immediately I move out of the communication. I don't get involved anymore, and I don't take it personal. I don't take really any meanings to it. I just move on. So this is my own weekly podcast coming to tell you my own stories about how I struggle to fit in communities and how I struggle with communication, so somebody out there can learn. Secondly, I focus intentionally on communication. I became more open about my expectations, my discomfort, and my ideas. Not everyone responded positively, and that was an important lesson. setting. Community isn't about universal acceptance, it's about mutual respect. So whereby in community setting or in the group of setting, there's no mutual respect, don't take it too personal. Just let it slide. Just move on, because you can't be complaining all the time. So number 3 is I stopped chasing every space and focused on alignment. I chose communities that share my values rather than ones that merely offered proximity or popularity. Quality mattered more than equality. So even one genuine connection proved me powerful than being surrounded by many who didn't truly see you as anything, see you like a commoner. And I see that quite often at so many places I go to. People just look at you and just look down on you. When you make suggestions, they don't even listen. They just see you as a nobody. But then I just don't let that to wear me down. I just move on as well. So most importantly, I learned that community is so created. It's not something we simply enter and consume. It requires effort, honesty, patience, and sometimes discomfort. Growth within community often mirrors personal growth. It asks us to reflect, adjust, and stay open. So today, my relationship with community is healthier and more grounded. I no longer expect perfection, and I no longer abandon myself to belong. I show up as I am, and I allow others the space to do the same. So if you're out there still struggling with your communication, if you're still struggling to belong into a group, I really don't go out with people for a meal, because twice in 2025, I went out for a meal with some group of people, and I found out I was literally on my phone. Nobody wants to speak to me in a gathering. I find that so embarrassing. So if you are struggling with community, know this: feeling disconnected doesn't mean you are broken, doesn't mean you are not relevant in the society. You are. Maybe they don't just like you. So sometimes it means you are evolving, and sometimes the resolution isn't finding a new community, but becoming a more self-aware version of yourself within one. So you can have that self-awareness, which I keep talking about, and then try to step backwards when you feel people are not giving the same energy anywhere you find yourself. Thank you for listening to Aurelia's weekly podcast, and until next week, protect your voice, honor your boundaries, and choose spaces that allow you to grow. Thank you for listening, and this is Chrysanthus Investment. Kindly like, share my videos, and I will see you in my next weekly podcast. Thank you. Bye.